In an age of call-outs, culture wars, and perfect facades, people can be afraid to express how they really feel. So we brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and asked them all 7 burning audience questions. What will be revealed when we take the mask off?
If the answer is yes, you will flip on your light. Do you watch porn?
It's accessible, and because it's accessible and it's there, people use it. I'm one of them.
I think most guys can agree that they have, at least at some point, watched it. And, it's, if you can enjoy it in a healthy way, if you can enjoy masturbating in a healthy way, I think then, by all means, go for it. But
yeah, I do watch porn. A lot of my teenage years, I spent a lot of time self-obsessing over it, to the point where it kind of became an addiction. And it took until very recently to get out of the hole of, paying for porn. I do watch it, but I don't like that I watch it.
I'm gonna bring everyone else into the conversation.
I said no. I used to watch it a lot before. I would say I was addicted to it. My dad is in prison, so there was no one really for me to talk to about sex. So porn was my education on sex.
From personal experience, it messed me up because after watching it so much, I'm sure we've all been there where you're on page 5 and nothing is right. You're looking for that right video, but your dopamine receptors and everything is so messed up at this point that the same thing that would get you off wouldn't get you off anymore, right? I went so deep into it where I'm a straight man, I started watching trans porn because it was just erotic in a different way that I've never seen before. I needed more stimulation.
Because of pornography.
Yes, because of pornography. So I don't think it's just entertainment, it actually affects with your brain and the way you perceive love.
Do you think that a lot of teenagers or teen boys are really educated on the effects of pornography?
No.
No, not at all.
Have you ever cried in front of someone else?
I wholeheartedly agree with this statement. I feel like it's easier to open up towards women, which is kind of embarrassing, but quite frankly, I feel like they understand emotions more because they really understand the whole crying. I feel like crying is sort of normal to them, and they see of it as a way to express themselves.
It's interesting that you said that you're more comfortable to cry in front of women. I had a girlfriend and she broke up with me over text. And before that, we were talking and I cried in front of her and I was being honest, and I thought that's what you're supposed to do. That's what my dad taught me, right? But I guess she interpreted it as being insecure, and she broke up with me, and that really messed me up for a little while because it's well, now I know I can't show any kind of insecurity. So I don't like crying in front of women. I'd rather cry in front of some family that I trust, right?
That's interesting because I'd rather find a stranger on the street and tell them everything I'm going through because I will never see them again in my life. And I feel like they won't be able to judge me because I'll never see them. I'd rather have a stranger think I'm strong and my family know all my problems, so it's interesting.
Feminism has gone too far.
In the feminism movement, there's so much of tearing down men or trying to put men back in their spot. But if the women want us men to step up, then I feel like it'd be a lot more productive instead of tearing down men and telling us all what we're doing wrong, than to, on the other hand, to build us up. I guess for the sake of keeping us accountable for our actions, and as men, we also need to step up.
Giving females more opportunities to certain things, I just think that's quite unfair, and it's you gotta put in the work, you gotta put in the certain things to earn these things, and it's not like women are granted less access to these jobs. I know there's plenty of women who are in business, who are doing good things for America. I just find it counterintuitive that this whole feminist movement is advocating for equal rights in certain things when they already have access to them.
I'm a feminist, I guess. I believe in the equality of men and women. I think that when we talk about feminism, a lot of it boils down to employment. I think that the bringing down of men, you guys keep on saying bringing down men and shaming them. I think that is way overstated. I have never been shamed for my maleness.
I think, you know, if you look at any movement, there's definitely going to be like a radical portion of that movement. But at the same time, like I want to open up the question to you guys. Do any of you guys have personal experience where you feel you've been brought down, you know, like to bring a woman up?
A little bit like in high school. And it's not like the worst thing in the world. We have like an ASB my sophomore year, there was like happy thoughts, right? Like every Friday you just write something and you put it in the bin. It'll just be the girls and then some, you know, more of the feminine guys complimenting each other, which is not a problem, but as they're complimenting each other, oh, look at you, you're killing it, and then they'll even like insult me. It went from being happy thought to build up Women Day. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's a wall, and we should break down that wall and focus on the human race.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
women, not men, not Mexicans, not this. We should all bring each other up.
I've been anxious about my penis size.
I started watching pornography, I think around the age of 11 or 12, and that's a very impressionable, vulnerable place to be in. So of course, there's always these feelings about looking at your body.
Yeah, and I think the competition is probably what affects me the most part, you know? It's the thing you're like, I know good and well there's dudes bigger than me, and she says it doesn't matter, but it still plays on my mental when I go to sleep at night.
Currently, I'm not really like afraid of the size that I have because I am kind of becoming more confident in my body and the way that I am. And I don't really feel like it's going to matter nearly as much when you're with someone for 10 years as you are for like a one-night stand. So I am not personally like that uncomfortable with my size.
Everything that you just said like is true, and like you just need to become confident in your own self by knowing what people really look for. But like, it's hard to get on Netflix and watch Euphoria and think like these are like grown-ass men playing high school people, and you think like, well, that's not what I look like. And then you think about like every person that I have been with or will be with has probably seen this. I think that's really where that anxiety comes from. It's just the fact that other people probably have expectations.
I have questioned my sexuality.
I guess growing up, I was never one of like the jocks of school. I always was into music, I was always into theater, and so growing up, you know, I was always bullied because of that, because I was being too gay or whatever, and I always hung out with the girls. And so I definitely did kind of buy into what everyone else was saying, their peer pressure of like saying, oh, you're gay, this is how you're gonna end up turning out because this is how you are now. With where I am now in my life, I've just kind of gotten to a place where I've grown to be confident. I know what my identity is.
People thinking that definitely like, it gets you thinking, you know? It gets you thinking like, well, like, am I? Or should I be? You know, it's like, should I be attracted to dudes because I like things that are quote unquote gay? You know, but then I guess it just reveals the issue that like, we've made certain things gay and made certain things straight.
Yeah, right. Mine didn't stem from any kind of like extra like curricular activity. My stuff stemmed from porn, as I mentioned before. And when I started watching trans porn, and it's weird to say, but like I got really nervous. I got really nervous because I thought maybe I'd be gay. And so, you know, I did my research on it, and I was kind of obsessed with trying to figure out like what this could mean. And all the stuff I would look up was saying like, if you watch trans porn, you're still straight because they're women and stuff like that. But I'm thinking like, what would my family think? I've never sought out, and like every time I talk to a trans woman in real life, there's no like actual attraction there. So I'm still lost in the fact of what I actually am attracted to, but I guess I am still straight because they are women.
Quite frankly, right now I feel happy with my sexuality, and I feel that it's not wrong to question your sexuality in terms of, well, in America, like you're free to question whatever you want. You can question your religion, you can question your culture. It's just society is the things that constrains those certain things to be what's normal and what's wrong.
Yeah, I feel like there's such a strong stigma to be straight, you know, like, or strong like a pushing you into it, that even right now, I feel the desire to like explain myself, even though we're anonymous right now. I feel like I've never been with, like I've only been with like actual like cis women, but like I know that's like no one is judging me. We're all here to be honest. But it's such a stigma that from the last 18 years of my life, that in this moment right now I feel embarrassed and ashamed for something that's just the way it is, you know.
I'm scared of dying.
I think of it as like, I'm extremely scared of death. I mean, I watched my father die like right before me. It's a scary thing. They just stop breathing. And just the idea of like nothing is just extremely terrifying to me. It's like you don't really know what's going on. Like, are you even thinking? Are you even there? You're just a blip out of just space.
It is terrifying. We don't know. And as a Christian, I want to pretend that like I know that there's, you know, heaven and hell, but at the end of the day, I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I think I always had the fear as a kid growing up that, you know, I'm gonna die and like not fulfill like what I wanted to do here on earth, right? But every time I thought about dying, it was as an old person. But 2 years ago when I started working as a lifeguard, this lady and her friend came to the pool, and you know, I have the music going and everything. She just starts having a seizure, and luckily, you know, I did everything right, and EMS showed up, and she was safe. But then 2 weeks later, she unfortunately had another seizure while driving, and she died. And that's when I realized life is like, it can happen to anyone at any point. And if I just die and don't do anything with my life, then that's what I'm scared of.
I said that I don't fear death because unlike you guys, I don't really have an experience, so much hands-on experience with death.
Am I afraid of the fact that I will die someday? No. But I think, you know, obviously the fact that it might come way sooner than you expect is a scary thought. But like, it's the one thing that makes life like special. You know what I mean? It's the one thing I feel like that actually gives meaning to it. Because if you would never die, then you would never do anything. You know, because you would always have more time to do it.
Do you guys feel like you can actually be your genuine self when you're like talking to a girl or hanging out with a girl?
There's definitely a difference between like talking or opening up to like my friends that are girls versus like a girl that I'm interested in.
Like obviously if you're trying to impress a girl, you're gonna be dressed nicely, you're gonna wear some cologne, you're not gonna like fart around her, right? It's like it's a filter thing. But like when it comes to your mom, like your mom's a girl, and I wholeheartedly trust my mom. So I'm gonna be myself around the people I trust more.
I guess that's what it is. There's a lot of times I walk away with talking to a girl I'm really interested in, and I'm like, man, I didn't just go up and be me. And then my best friend, right? He used to be my best friend. He's kind of a womanizer, but I see him get so much like, you know, success. And every time I've gotten success is doing things that he's done, which is just putting on a facade, telling them what they want to hear.
I think it's good to be yourself because, I mean, you can only put a mask on for so long.
It's refreshing to talk to people and realize that I'm not the only one who feels a certain way about things. It's nice, and it's a step in the right direction for me in becoming more comfortable with being open and honest with everybody.
I think just the whole open conversation, like this won't bite me in the end later, or like someone's not gonna listen to this and think, oh, that guy's bad. I have more safety of expressing my honest opinions, and whether those be good opinions or bad opinions, it's a better way to express one's true self without trying to be influenced by what high school is and all the people influencing you in high school, because frankly, high school is just popular culture, what people think is popular.
Thank you so much.